This is the Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3, getting you ready for today's sports day.
3 of the first 4 games have been at home, so at some point in time you're going to have to venture outside the 806. So that'll start this week,
while having a little fun along the way.
Always good if you can blame it on somebody else, right?
Yeah, sure.
Especially some media guy.
Sure. Right, some media guy.
Catch the show live weekday mornings from 6 to 9 on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3.
On the morning drive, thanks for being with us this morning on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com. The Red Raider football team had a stomach bug. Looking at an article in the AJ this morning.
Oh, yeah.
Shuck throwing up repeatedly throughout the night leading up to it, along with Malik Dunlap, Trey Cleveland, and strength coach Lance Barlow. They had the same stomach bug, apparently. It's kind of one of those deals where they were lucky they played at 8 o'clock at night and not 11 o'clock in the morning. That's what Joey McGuire said. He wouldn't have been able to go.
Wow.
Apparently, Dr. Fye, who's the team doctor, Michael Fye, along with the trainer, Drew Kruger, they had IV going through Shuck, and they were close enough that they didn't want the Rebels to see him when he was getting those IVs. So that's stuff that legends are made of, right?
Yeah.
And being able to respond like that and play like that. Here's my question for you. I wonder if after kind of experiencing this last night, and if some of the guys that had said, hey, I think I'm done, Trey Wolf, hey, I think I'm done, Weston Wright, if they would go, upon further review, this looks pretty fun, maybe I'll come back.
I would, yeah. It would be hard not to take Trey Wolf back for sure.
Yeah,
but I think there might be. It's hard to know other situations that are going on, and two, heck, that some of those scholarships might be already being used elsewhere.
Right. They might have said, "Hey, we gave your deal away, there, buddy boy. Sorry about you."
Yeah, there may not be there may not be any takebacks on that,
right?
Especially for some of those guys. But talk about. Trey Wolf, he misses the one kick, but it does seem like you need to get him on the left hash. Doesn't it seem that way for Trey Wolf? Mm-hmm. Because the moment they were on the right hash, that just felt wrong. And then, they obviously had never really had a chance. And so I started thinking, it seems like every big kick that I can think of is from the left side. So we need to, keep that in mind. Well,
how about Ole Miss, too? Yeah. I mean, kind of felt like their missed extra point was one basically of intimidation by the Texas Tech defensive line. They just kind of barreled at him, and that kid just missed it right. I mean, he hit it straight right of the post. Yeah,
that you rarely see an extra point miss like that. And I know they had a false start, so it was 5 yards back, but still, and that that caused them to have to keep chasing those points.
Right,
and that ended up it ended up not mattering, but it could have potentially mattered when you stopped them on their 2-point conversion, because that's another thing. Jackson Dart goes barreling into the end zone. You get a pretty big hit on him. He lands funny, and he's not able to.
I was surprised he came back, to be honest with you.
I was too. Especially, you don't hear the sideline reporter say he was looking dazed going in and out of the medical tent, and then him coming back in. But yeah, so they have to do a 2-point conversion with their backup quarterback, and he looks like a backup quarterback. And he's already in the transfer portal, which is kind of unstable, in this, the world of college football. But yeah, a couple of those plays, didn't necessarily end up mattering, but they very well could have in the end.
Were you surprised? 2 things. Were you surprised Tyler Shuck said he's coming back right after the game last night? Because, he hadn't given any indication, and maybe some of the thought was, hey, if he performs really well, they'll just go ahead and go on to the NFL. Or, heck, you just, based on his comments after the Oklahoma game, it kind of made you wonder, okay, is he going to go somewhere else, since he hadn't really said anything about his future until after the ball game last night?
I didn't think he would go anywhere else just because he'd already transferred. once.
Well, there's plenty of other guys that have done that.
Oh, yes. That just some things that I had heard about him, and I didn't think he would necessarily go anywhere else. He does, he is the prototypical NFL quarterback build, and you can argue whether or not he necessarily has the skill and the field vision and all those kinds of things, but we've seen the NFL draft on body type plenty, and he is the body type that many executives look at. And so I thought there was a chance that he could go to the NFL, but to me, these guys already have those grades. You hear about Tony Bradford, Jalen Hutchins. We talked about them coming back. They already knew if they were going to try to get drafted, they already knew their grade. Rashad Williams, Malik Dunlap, same thing. And I don't think one bowl game would have made a difference in what Tyler Shuck does. So the fact that he hadn't said anything yet led me to believe that he was coming back, but it is nice to have that, just in writing, I guess. It does make you wonder about the quarterback room in general, to me.
Yeah, that's going to be my next question for you. What does that say to Baron Morton? Does that say, well, hey, man, you've got another year that you're going to be QB2?
Right. And I think that you should be... It's one of those where he played well enough. He won games. He played well enough to continue starting even when Shuck was healthy. So I would imagine as a guy who hopefully is going to root for Baron Morton here in a couple years, I hope it's one of those where I want him to be mad about it.
But his time is dwindling too.
Right.
He didn't get the extra COVID year that some of these other guys got.
Yeah. So it's one of those where I want him to be angry about it, but I don't want him to be so angry about it that he wants to go play somewhere else.
Right.
And it'll be, I think McGuire and that staff has handled the quarterback room very well, because I think that 95% of schools would have lost one of Donovan, Barron, or Shuck in the offseason or in spring ball.
I mean, leading up to.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that they didn't, I talked to people like that shows how good of a man manager McGuire is and how well he can shape and mold and a locker room. So I think you might have to break that out again, because if I'm Baron Morton, is
because you got another guy coming.
Yeah. It's like I've played well. I won Big 12 games, and I don't. I would be so. I don't.
I mean, somebody would take him if he. Threw his hat in the ring, or even just tried to test a couple of waters just a little bit. Put your toe in it. Yeah, and there'd be plenty of people that would say, "Hey, I've got some NIL money for you."
People in this conference, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
And it's one of those. It's unfortunate that it has to even be discussed, but I think you'd be naive to not discuss it, because you look at quarterback rooms all across the country now, and it's usually the established starter, a young scholarship guy, and a walk-on or a transfer they found that failed somewhere else. You very rarely have a quarterback room full of guys, or at least two guys who have won conference games as a starter. And if Tech can hopefully hold on to both those guys, that's going to be a luxury next year.
All right, it's 6:39 this morning on the Morning Drive. Taylor Beadles in for Jamie Lent this morning. Jeff will have This Day in Sports History. That is next this morning.
You're listening to the Morning Drive podcast from Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3, recapping the night that was in the world of sports.
A little bit later on tonight, we'll have the Astros and the Diamondbacks. That'll be at 8. And then the Rangers playing at Seattle tonight.
And also bringing some humor to your day.
Was it pretty big?
Yeah, I mean,
it's impressive.
Yeah.
Was it fascinating?
It was. I thought it was fascinating. It kind of smelled, but I mean.
Hear the show live weekday mornings at 6 on Double T 97.3 or on the Double T 97.3 mobile app.
47 this morning on the Morning Drive. Time for This Day in Sports History. Today is the 29th day of December. It's the final Thursday of 2022.
Wow.
There's no more. There's no more left after today. Here with the news and notes, Jeff McGuire.
Going to start in 1933. New York Yankees owner Jacob Ruppert refuses to release future Baseball Hall of Fame slugger Babe Ruth to manage the Cincinnati Reds.
Wonder how good of a manager he'd have been.
Yeah, because did he manage post-retirement? I don't know. I've never heard about it.
1957. National. I don't know either.
I don't know.
I have given you all the information I had.
A little early this morning, Mr. McGuire.
Were you up here late last night?
Their post-game show went till 2.
Oh,
1957, National Football League Championship took place. Detroit Lions beat Cleveland Browns 50-14. Note about this game, Lions scored 2 touchdowns in each quarter.
Oh, okay.
All right.
That'd be a total of 8 then, right?
1968, AFL Championship at Shea Stadium in New York City. The Jets beat the Raiders 27-23. Joe Namath has 3 touchdown passes to spark the Jets win.
I don't think I realized they played at Shea Stadium.
Yeah, they played at Shea, the home of the Mets, and the Mets the next year won the World Series and tore up the field so bad the fans did. They played basically on dirt, played on a dirt infield for their playoff games.
Wow.
1979, the Red Army of Russia beats the New York Islanders 3-2 at Nassau Coliseum in the game that would lead to a lot of people not thinking that the U.S. team had a chance in the Olympics coming up in 1980.
That's right. Yeah.
Just going to go ahead and spoil that for you. They did.
I didn't realize till recently that game played in the U.S. on tape delay. The
Miracle on Ice?
Yeah. And so, like, some people, they had to kind of avoid it was easier to avoid.
It was easier to avoid because there wasn't.
But there was people like, it would come on the radio and no, it's coming on later.
1982, American college football coach Paul Bear Bryant ends his career with the University of Alabama. 323 wins.
We're going to flash forward to about 3 weeks from now. You're going to talk about Bear Bryant dying.
Wow. I didn't realize that.
2007, Tom Brady sets a then NFL record throwing his 50th touchdown pass, and the New England Patriots become the first team in NFL history to finish the regular season 16-0.
Brady now wants to play till 50. He got nothing to do. I mean, because his rock star wife has left him,
Model.
Well, she's a rock star still. Rock star model wife.
I still don't want any part of him in the playoffs.
I don't either.
As a Cowboys fan.
No, I'm with you.
Which is where it's headed.
Yeah.
Said yesterday, I'd rather face the All-Pro team than any team run by Tom Brady.
Yeah.
That's why I get the Eagles to lose one more and win out and get that 1 seed.
2013, 7-time world F1 motor racing champion Michael Schumacher suffers a serious head injury in a ski accident in the French Alps.
Yeah.
His condition still remains unclear. It is, not good. This isn't going to happen.
Well, you just end on a downer there.
Too much respect for the man not to acknowledge what happened.
No, I got it. You don't have a uplifting one, though, to finish.
No. This isn't going to help either. It's National
McGuire
Get on the Scales Day.
Oh, it is.
I got a big old number 1 for them. It's also National Pepper Pot Day, which is a stew, basically, of ox and lamb that you kind of put together. It was made originally, I don't want to say made famous, but in the United States at least, General Washington's army ate a lot of it because it was kind of what you could throw together and make a stew out of. So if you want to celebrate some U.S. history, there's a good way to do it.
No oxen. What did you say? Oxen?
Ox and lamb.
Yeah, no. I'm out on the ox and I'm out on the lamb.
I'd give it a try.
Would you really?
Yeah, but I don't expect much.
Are you a good trier of foods, Taylor?
I will.
You'd be odd
things.
on this show.
I will try things. I won't like a lot, but I'll give it a try.
Well, good for you. We're not good triers on this show.
Missed a big birthday yesterday, so I'm going to go back and get it today. Former Red Raider first baseman Eric Gutierrez.
Oh, my God.
Oh, hey.
29 yesterday.
I'm surprised
Nice.
you're still employed here.
Yeah, Jamie's not here to fire me today. That's why
Right.
Today, however, Jude Law is 50, Ted Danson 75, Myles Garrett 27, and Eric Berry, former Kansas City Chief, is 34.
Yeah. Leukemia, I think.
Yeah, it came back.
Yeah.
And on this day in 1845, 6 months after the Congress of the Republic of Texas accepted its U.S. annexation, Texas is admitted to the United States as the 28th state.
Well, there's still some people that lament that decision, right?
I'm sure, but that is the state of sports history.
All right. 6:52 and some change this morning here on the Morning Drive. Take your thoughts and comments on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to WT973.com for that, or the mobile app. This may sound odd, but those that listen to this show on a relatively regular basis are going to think that this is probably a typical comment that would come from me. You know who was an unsung MVP last night for the Red Raider football organization?
Oh, the whole order. Okay.
Yeah, it just stood out to me.
Yeah.
And part of it is because it was an NFL stadium and it was supposed to be a neutral site. But the Going Band from Raiderland, they played their tails off last night. I mean, you heard them after every single play.
Yeah.
And I would like to hear more of that at Jones Stadium, because I don't think we get to hear enough of them during the game. So kudos to the Going Band from Raiderland. They went and they played.
Yeah, you did.
And they were a factor.
I noticed that too, and I didn't know if it was they had them mic'd differently or what. But yeah,
no, they just allowed them to play more.
I noticed it as well.
After every single play.
Yep.
I mean, they played all the classic Texas Tech. If you go to a ball game today or 50 years from now or 50 years ago, and I loved it. I thought it was awesome. So kudos to the Going Band from Raiderland. All right, we'll continue to chop this one up, as they'll say, here this morning on the Morning Drive. Thanks for being with us today on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3 and Double T97.3.com.
Your morning dose of coffee and sports. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3. Catch the show live weekdays from 6 to 9 on Double T 97.3 FM or on the Double T 97.3 mobile app.
Thanks for being with us this morning. With Jamie Lent's out, Taylor Beadles is in. Jamie will be traveling back from Houston, and I think he's back with me on Tuesday. And then Jeff McGuire's here, and Jeff's been here like all night long, basically. So bless his heart. And you'll hear Jeff on the end of the bench at 9 o'clock. So he's saving all his tidbits for the end of the bench, which is great. We'll have bowl games for you today, and I have a thought. I want to get your opinion on this, Taylor. So the Pinstripe Bowl today will be Syracuse and Minnesota. That'll be at 1 on 100.7 The Score. We'll follow that with the Cheez-It Bowl, which is Oklahoma and Florida State. That is a 4:30 kick. Florida State's favored by 9.5. And then later on tonight on 100.7 The Score, we'll have the Alamo Bowl with number 20 Texas and number 12 Washington. Texas is favored by 3 in that game. Florida State's favored by 9.5 in their game with Oklahoma. And then tonight we'll have the Cowboys. I don't have a good feeling about tonight for whatever reason, but we'll have the Cowboys and the Tennessee Titans tonight from Nashville at 7 on Double T 97.3. That's right after Lady Raider basketball with Krista Gerlich. That'll be 6 to 7 tonight. And her team is back in action and starts Big 12 play on Saturday at home against one of the best teams in the conference, maybe the best team, Iowa State. They're picked to win. We'll have it at 1:30, 2 o'clock tip time from the arena, New Year's Eve on 107.7 Yes FM. A Red Raider basketball team will play Saturday morning at TCU. 10 o'clock our broadcast time, 11 o'clock the tip time from Schulmeyer Coliseum there on the campus of Texas Christian University. So I'm just thinking out loud here. And I know people were upset with not getting to go to the Cheez-It Bowl because it was perceived to be a better bowl and you would have played a higher-ranked team. But I think it really worked out best for you to play a primetime game, play in Houston, the attendance was about 53,000 last night, predominantly Red Raiders fans. And then the way that you beat them and just destroyed them, I'm not sure it could have played out any better if you'd have gone to the Cheez-It Bowl.
I agree. And I was one that wanted to go to the Cheez-It Bowl, mostly just for the players. A lot of them are from Houston, have been to Houston. They maybe, they played there a few years ago.
You've seen all the sites, right?
Yeah, and so going to Orlando, I'm sure they would have had a trip to Disney World, all that stuff. Just a different experience,
right?
A quote unquote higher profile game. Whether I don't know if that's true or not, who knows? But I also recognize that, like you said, it probably works out better this way because, especially now, considering the flight situation that's going on with Southwest.
Oh goodness, yeah.
I knew people who had trouble getting to the Houston game because of it, but it's in Houston, so most people could just drive.
You could drive at the end of the day, right?
But to go to Orlando, I mean that you wouldn't have had it as well attended, and then add that on top, who knows? Yeah.
And then you would have played Florida State, and good. I'm not saying that you couldn't beat Florida State or anything like that, but I'm just saying with everything that transpired last night. It just seems to me like it worked out for the best.
Yes, yeah, and it's one of those where beating Florida State, they're probably better than Ole Miss right now, but it's still Tech football Twitter gets to tweet out 3-0 against the SEC this year,
right?
And stuff like that. It just kind of, I think it gets more recognition. When you play in SEC school, I don't know. But you're right. As much as I think the players wanted to go to Orlando, I think it worked out. And I think now it doesn't matter. It's one of those things that was a talking point, and now you win the game, and who cares?
Who cares?
Yeah.
Right. You win your last 4.
Yep.
You're 8-5. You've got big momentum going into the off season. You've completed your recruiting class for the most part. You've got a bunch of guys coming back. Not that they will, but you have a chance now, maybe for the first time in a year and a half, for your football program to kind of take a breath, which I think is good because when you have a chance to take a breath, well, they can plan for spring football. They could plan for the next year. You don't have a schedule yet, so it's not like you can kind of put everything that you got your non-con. You just don't know which Big 12 teams you're going to play. But I don't know. I just feel like that they have a chance to take a collective sigh maybe for a couple of days, and I really like the fact that the recruiting, the early signing period is the bulk now, and you get that out of the way.
Yep.
And I think that eliminates drama from kids flipping and the hat ceremonies and all the drama that was getting played out with the first Wednesday in February. Now it seems like, why in the world did it take so long to get to the point where they would do this in early December? Yeah,
it makes you wonder, like, why can't a kid just sign anytime?
Right.
Like when he commits, or I guess not, if he commits as a freshman, you probably shouldn't let him sign. But, once it gets to his senior season, let him sign whenever. I mean, I know guys who would have preferred to have signed in July before anything starts just because the recruiting process is such a beatdown and they knew where they wanted to go. But you're exactly right. It also, because so many of those guys who signed this month, they're going to be on campus next month, which is awesome. And that just continues that momentum that you were talking about. And now, there are a few holes that the coaches want to fill on the roster, whether it be transfer portal or late additions, high school wise. And it's like now those get all the attention. Those few, finishing touches spots, those get, the majority of the attention. And I mean, it's like we mentioned earlier, it's hard to remember feeling better about a team going into an off season than you do right now.
Yeah. Somebody says this, looking like a good chance the Big 12 goes 1-7 this bowl season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care. I would have preferred KU, just from my standpoint, to come back and win last night. They lose in triple overtime. They were down at one point 38-13, down 25 points. Get an onside kick. They get a touchdown. They had the 2-point play. And I hate the new overtime. First overtime you get to do everything conventionally. The second one you got to go for 2, and the third one is just it's tricked up. It's just 2-point plays.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Arkansas. Man, I was thinking about this going, man, you lose this game. This is a game that gets coaches fired.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because that happened to Glenn Mason at Minnesota after, Texas Tech beat them.
Yep.
He eventually lost his job, and that blowing that game to Texas Tech, and you could make a big case of, hey, the Red Raiders earned that victory because they fought to the finish, but that cost Glenn Mason his job, and he never coached again.
Yeah, and Arkansas, they've had issues with players leaving, like contributors. Their best receiver transfers to Baylor. They've had other instances like that, and so you put a collapse in a bowl game on top of the other things that are going on. Pittman would have been feeling the pressure for sure.
Yeah,
but I'm with you. I don't care about Big 12.
Yeah,
how they do in bowl games. I do want Kansas State to win, which I know may be complicated for you.
I'm rooting for Alabama.
Right.
I'm rooting for Alabama, and I'm rooting for whoever TCU is playing. So
Yes.
I'm going to be a Michigan man on Saturday.
I will absolutely be a Michigan man, but I also would like to see Kansas State beat Alabama, especially, you saw when Bryce Young and Will Anderson said they were playing, it was just like, shut it down. Alabama's got this easily. So it'd be nice to see Kansas State do something. But I'm not going to lose sleep if they don't.
I will say this. The K-State fans will show out in New Orleans. It'll be interesting to see if they have travel problems getting to New Orleans. But, damn, those fans will drive forever. And that'll mean something. To K-State, the whole program. And for Alabama, Nick Saban will have to figure out a way to make it mean something for his team, right? Because they've been to the Sugar Bowl a million times.
Yeah, absolutely.
Getting your sports day started the right way. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, breaking down the biggest games.
If Texas Tech does not win the Big 12 football conference, who are you rooting for to win the conference if Tech does not win it this year?
Well, busting some chops along the way.
I hold back on sending you stuff. I mean, I'm very, very, very judicious.
We spend 3 hours a day, 5 days a week together. Why would we need to communicate during the weekends? Save it for the show.
We do. We save it for the show.
Tune in to the Morning Drive live weekdays from 6 to 9 on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is presented by Bizarre Solutions. Call them today for a free cybersecurity audit.
7:33 this morning here on the Morning Drive. I've already admitted this, but this from the Yates Morning Center chat line. Chuck, you were so wrong about Chuck yesterday. Yeah, I was. I was wrong. I was wrong. I tipped my hat to him.
I didn't want to bring it up.
No, I think my concerns were valid.
Yeah, and I still think there's a question to be asked about his quarterback play. He ran the ball really well, but there were moments where we kind of saw some of the shuck that made us nervous.
The interception wasn't great.
The interception wasn't great. I got a little flashback to Donovan Smith with his presence in the pocket and awareness in the pocket. I mean, they hit it. You don't see them be that harsh on a broadcast very often, but the guys on the broadcast are like, how did he not feel that pressure on the strip fumble, sack fumble? But it's kind of like he got the job done, so I'm not going to complain too much.
All right, you're in for Jamie Lent today.
Yes.
That's Taylor Beadles, and he's got Jamie's question of the day.
All right, so take Shuck out of this question. When we hit on it a little bit, but what player that contributed last night are you most excited about and have the most expectations for going into next season?
Well, I don't know if it's fair to have expectations, but man, how could you not be excited about number 19, Loic Fouonji, and what he did? 7 catches, 9 targets, 100 yards, and then the onside kick for a return for a touchdown. So for me, shocked at how well he played not maybe shocked. I'm excited for how well he played. The expectation for him has been to play at that level, and he did. Jeff?
I know you're asking for one, but they're a group. I'm sorry, they are.
I'm okay with that.
And it's just one group. Your defensive front.
Yeah.
Now, granted, they've been impressive all season, but the fact that those guys are coming back next year and they flat out dominated the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, they really did.
This is our line. Good luck getting past it. Oh, no, I'm sorry. You don't now. Goodbye. That was your defensive line last night. And those guys, I know Shuck was the MVP. Those guys were the MVP.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was honestly probably one of the most shocking things for me too, was just how much they dominated the line. See, I've got a few, and I can't really. Maybe y'all can help me decide. on it, Cam Valdez is one. I mean, the way I know that he made the mistake, but
did he make a mistake? I mean, that guy just made a hell of a play on him.
I think you got to count that as a mistake because as a runner, obviously he didn't. You should know. That's what a defense is trying to do. That's the last resort. You're about to. We saw Rabbit do it to NC State.
Yeah, I guess he should have moved it to his left arm from his right arm.
Or just you see all the time running backs. They get to the first down and they get to the end zone and they cover it with both arms and kind of just, if I don't get it, I don't get it. But you're not getting this ball.
That guy though from Ole Miss, I mean, he chased him down.
Yeah.
I mean, and Valdez, he was running pretty fast.
Yeah, and that's why I'm so excited about him.
He ran for one play, and he's your guy?
Well, I have a few.
Okay.
Isaac Smith, number 17, the defensive end.
Mm-hmm.
He came on towards the end of last season, the end of this season, and then continued that, played well in the bowl game. He puts on some weight, some muscle this offseason, and is able to keep.
He had 4 solo tackles.
Yeah, and there was one time where he got to Jackson Dart about 8-9 yards in the backfield and kind of rode him down for still a sack, but it was a 1 or 2 yard sack instead. So he's another one. And then a guy that I've been excited about since he was in high school, and I wanted him here then, but he wanted to go play quarterback at Virginia, transfers to Tech, Jacob Rodriguez, the linebacker. And he's played well all season. I think you missed him against Oklahoma because he had that ankle sprain against Iowa State. But I think you are going to miss Krishan Merriweather a lot, but he is going to soften that blow some.
I thought you were going to say, when you were talking about the guy that you've been watching, I thought you were going to say Tyler Owens because
that's another one.
He had 4 solos, 2 assists, 6 total, and then he had an interception as well.
Yep, the game-ending pick. Yeah. I guess it's a good thing that there's a lot to choose from. But I think I'm going to lean Rodriguez.
Okay.
Just because you are absolutely losing your 2 starters in that position. And so to have a guy you've seen do it in spurts and
see,
now
this is the coach in you.
Right, yeah.
This is the coach in you.
I want him to be replaced. But because to me, like, you're not. I saw some people saying like, well, there's our Tyree Wilson replacement, Isaac Smith. You're not replacing Tyree Wilson. I mean, he's a guy you may not see again in a Tech uniform.
Which is too bad.
Yeah, with that combination
too bad you didn't get to see him a whole lot.
Yeah, I mean, he is a freak athlete. And even Tyler Owens, he won that job during in the middle of the season and benched Reggie Pearson, and now that Reggie Pearson's gone, you need someone to fill that void. But again, he already kind of did it. So I think Rodriguez is probably my answer to that.
How about Kosai Eldridge? I mean, and he's a guy they're trying to get a year back.
Yeah.
Because of an injury.
Yeah.
He had 9 tackles, 6 solo, 3 assists last night. So if they could get him back, that would really be huge for that defense. 7:38 this morning here on the morning drive. Let's see here. Steven says this: Tyler coming back, awesome. Coach Kidley needs to refine his passing skills.
Yeah, there needs, and that's something that we talked about even when he, going this summer when I was on the air. Is like, if you have a complaint against Shuck, does he see the field well? And I think you still saw some of that last night.
But then they glow about his ability to check in and out of plays.
And you did see that several times last night of him getting the offense into the right, run play, pass play, whatever they needed to.
Centex Hank, Chuck, how do you feel about Tyler Shuck announcing he's coming back next season? I'm fine with it. I just think, it's funny because sometimes on this show I get ridiculed for being wishy-washy on some things, and then I state an opinion, and then I get hung on the cross, so to speak. So I get it. I mean, that's the way it is, right? That's the way it is. That's the way it is. So, okay, I said I was wrong about him yesterday. But man, I mean, there were some moments you just kind of went, like the left-handed pass that they ruled was an incomplete pass when he tried to do too much, as opposed to maybe either A, getting rid of it sooner, or B, taking the sack as opposed to giving up a fumble.
Yep.
I mean, you were very fortunate there.
Your morning blend of sports.
K-State is coming off a big win over Oklahoma. Of course, the Red Raiders off their 37-34 overtime win over number 22 Texas.
And humor.
Sure to tell them that you suggested that. And of course, they got a big laugh.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3. Catch the show live weekdays from 6 to 9 on Double T 97.3 FM or on the Double T 97.3 mobile app.
A Dos Jefes edition of the End of the Bench coming up at 9 on 100.7 The Score. Jeff Haxton and Jeff McGuire will be on for you. We'll have the Pinstripe Bowl at 1 on 100.7 The Score. Cheez-It Bowl at 4:30 and the Alamo Bowl tonight at 8. And we'll have Cowboy football tonight at 7 here on Double T 97.3 as they take on the Tennessee Titans. That game snuck up on me. I didn't really realize that they were playing tonight until, I don't know, maybe yesterday. I was just like, what? Are they really?
Christmas break, and I know that's a teacher saying, but I don't even know what day today is, to be totally honest with you. So, yeah, I mean, it all kind of, like the bowl game yesterday kind of snuck up on me.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
It's just the way that it is.
I don't know that the bowl game snuck up on me. I mean, it kind of is what it is. We'll have more continued bowl games tomorrow, and then again on Saturday with the college football playoffs. Are you in? Or are you bored by the college football playoffs? Is it like appointment?
No, I'm not. I haven't watched in a few years because it's kind of like what we were talking about in the last segment. I kind of know what's going to happen. I'll keep up with it. And if something, if the game ends up being good, close, I'd much rather watch the Cheez-It Bowl than the college football playoff.
Okay.
I will watch. I say that I probably will watch because I want to see TCU lose again.
Sure, I'd love to see that.
But
right?
Yeah, it's kind of like we were saying last segment. Is I am a fan of both college and the NFL. The thing the NFL has is going into each season, you don't really know who's going to win, who's going to be bad, who's going to be good. Just based off the nature of the sport, the way the rosters work. But the college football playoff is I'm kind of bored by it, which is why I welcome a 12 team. You still will probably have ultimately the same 4, but those first few rounds of games will be really fun.
So they'll have the college football playoffs for you on 100.7 The Score. I think it's criminal that the Sugar Bowl is being played at 11 a.m. on Saturday morning.
Yeah, that feels weird.
That's always been New Year's night.
Yep.
With the Monday Night Crew. I mean, I'm showing my age here. I hate what all this has done to the college bowl system. I mean, I hate it.
So is that why it's in the morning?
Well, because it's irrelevant this year because of the college football semifinals. And I guess, and even the granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl is, subject to, different stuff.
And that was kind of the source of discussion with the expanding of the playoff is the Rose Bowl wasn't sure they were going to cooperate, but I guess they eventually did.
Robert is on the Benchmark hotline. He would like to talk about the Tech game from last night. Good morning, Robert.
Good morning.
What's on your mind, Robert? What stood out to you?
The defense played great on 4th down.
Well, they sure did.
I thought the defense blitz whatever that Ole Miss tried to do, and we stopped them when we needed to early, and they set the tone for the whole game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, they certainly did. The defense on 4th down, Ole Miss tried it 7 times.
Yeah, they
were successful twice, and then what you did on 3rd down too. Thank you, Robert. They were 5 of 13 on 3rd down. So the combined, they're 7 of 20. Meanwhile, the Red Raiders combined were 12 of 25 between 3rd and 4th down. I mean, you're going to win a lot of football games when you're 12 of 25.
And a lot of those 4th downs were 4th and 2, 4th and 1. And that's when it goes back to us talking about how much the D-line dominated.
Yeah. So now I'm seeing this story, and I realize it's been up, but I didn't have a chance to even, really kind of look at it this morning. The story that folks are going to be talking about today with Lane Kiffin, and basically accusing a Tech player of a racial slur and spitting and all that kind of stuff. He said they announced our number 11, which is Jordan Watkins, who wasn't in the fight. It was their number 11 that was fighting Ole Miss lineman Jaden Williams, and everybody knew because their own coaches were yelling at that guy. There was a racial slur involved. That's not the point of what we're talking about. It's about the spitting part. Okay. I brought our own 71 up to the officials, right or wrong. You see him crying. He's not crying, not because he got spit on. It's because something was said. Asked to clarify whether a Tech player used a racial slur toward one of his players. Kiffin said he wasn't sure. Well, then you know what? Then you shouldn't bring it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not going to, because I didn't hear it. I'm not going to say that happened for sure, that he gave a racial slur to our player. I was told that was what was said, but I did not hear that, so that would be obviously a giant issue. Both Dimitri Moore and Williams are black.
He knows what he's doing. He realizes that, Ole Miss has lost, 5 of their last 6? 5 in a row? I can't remember. They had a bad end to the season and a pretty bad bowl game performance, and he wants that spotlight to go anywhere else. I will say he might have a point on the they called the wrong number 11, because when they showed the replay of that scrum, sometimes officials just get the wrong number, and so maybe they were talking about another Ole Miss player. But I didn't really see their number 11 deserve a personal foul. But again, who knows if they meant our number 11, they meant another Ole Miss player. Who knows? To me, that's a total deflection on his part.
Part of this too is it's football, right?
Yeah.
Did he stand over him and spit on him? I mean, I don't know. Was something said? What was said that set him off?
Yeah.
Not that 2 wrongs make a right or anything like that, but I don't know. I just kind of consider the source of Lane Kiffin.
Yes, and like I said, I think this is maybe it happened, maybe it didn't. Who knows? But you don't say that if Ole Miss wins that game. Is that being said?
No.
And that's the whole point.
No, and shoes on the other foot. Are we having that complaint? I don't think so.
If you look at the bottom of that article, I don't know if you still have it pulled up.
Yeah.
He mentions McGuire commenting on the officials, and that's I'm sure McGuire really appreciates Kiffin bringing him into that discussion.
He says, I talked to their head coach afterwards. He was like, crazy fishing out there. I go, yeah, that was really bad on that one that your guy spit and our guy got the penalty. He was like, yeah, I know. My guess is Joey McGuire didn't hear him say.
No, and
he was not listening to what Kiffin said with regard to that.
Yes, you could almost see that happen in the post-game handshake.
Sure.
I even noticed it because
they talked for a long time.
They go in and lean against each other, and then McGuire goes to pull away, and he kind of looks confused. And it's exactly what you said. It's like when you don't hear somebody, and you're just like, "Yep, crazy."
Yeah, Rick, crazy, man. Yeah,
yeah, that's exactly.
I just kicked your butt, man.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's.
The last thing I'm thinking about is what you're bringing up, right?
Yeah. There are egregious things that it's just there are levels of bad things that could happen, and if to bring up something like that in this type of situation feels a little, like I said, like deflecting. If they win and he's got a player that's really upset because something awful happened that the officials missed, or even if they lose, but it's just something like, I can't believe the officials missed this kind of thing, can't stand it. But I don't know if this situation meets that level of let me make sure this is the thing that I harp on after.
Is that the hill you're going to die on,
yeah.
Lane Kiffin? I mean, think you protesteth a bit too much there.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's on brand for him.
It is on brand for him. So again, I just consider the source and just move on. All right. It is 8:24 this morning here on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com. Your thoughts, comments, Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to the Double T 97.3 mobile app. It's presented by Happy State Bank.
You've been listening to the Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3. For more from Lubbock Sports Station, go to doublet973.com.